Life can be pretty unexpected. One day, I'm folding sweaters in a high-end boutique, dreaming of big things, and the next, I'm face to face with destiny. Or at least that's what it felt like when Liam walked in. But let me back up a bit. I'm Chloe, and fashion's my passion. Not the flashy, break-the-bank kind, but the smart, stylish kind that says, "Yeah, I know I look good." The boutique felt like my playground, my school, and sometimes my whole world. I could pair a vintage belt with a modern dress and make them look like they were meant to be together. My dream: to turn this knack into a career as an image stylist. "Is it Liam?" I asked, spotting the guy browsing through our new collection. He had that artsy vibe, complete with a camera hanging around his neck, like he saw the world in snapshots. "Yeah, I'm here for a shoot," he said. "I need something that screams urban chic, but isn't trying too hard." I laughed. "You're in luck. Urban chic's my middle name." "Well, not really, but you get the point." We chatted as I pulled out pieces, mixing patterns and textures like a DJ mixing tracks. He was easy to talk to and had a pretty sharp eye for fashion, especially for someone who spent his days looking through a lens. "You've got real talent," Liam said, holding up a leather jacket I paired with a soft floral dress. "Ever think of doing this professionally?" "All the time," I admitted, "but dreams and rent don't always align, you know." He nodded. "Tell me about it. I was shooting weddings before I could land anything bigger. But you've got to chase what you love." Our conversation was interrupted by a shrill voice echoing through the store. "Chloe, darling, where are those scarves I asked about?" That was Ms. G, the store owner. She wasn't big on patience. "On it," I called back, giving Liam an apologetic smile. "Duty calls." He handed me his card and said, "Let's talk. Maybe there's something we can collaborate on." "Maybe," I replied, pocketing the card. I didn't hold my breath. People threw around, "Let's collaborate," like spare change, and nothing ever came of it. The rest of the day was a blur of customers, folding clothes, and Miss G's demands. But as I locked up the store, Liam's card burned a hole in my pocket. What if? I thought. Better not get my hopes up. "Hey, Chloe," it was Liam, leaning against the wall outside. "Grab coffee with me. I've got an idea I want to run by you." Coffee turned into dinner, and dinner turned into late-night talks about everything and nothing. Liam's world of photography was as colorful and chaotic as mine in fashion. The more we talked, the more it felt like our paths were meant to cross. Liam's idea of meeting the family came out of nowhere. One minute we were chilling on his couch, flipping through old photo albums, and the next he says, "You should come to dinner with my folks this weekend." "Are you for real?" I dropped the album, staring at him like he'd just sprouted a second head. "Liam, babe, we've been dating, what, a couple of months? Isn't it a bit early for the whole meet the family circus?" He just grinned that cocky smile that always made me roll my eyes and laugh at the same time. "They're going to love you, Chloe, and I want my worlds to collide. You, them, all of it together." I could have said no, could have told him I wasn't ready to jump into that pool just yet. But looking at him, all excited and hopeful, what could I do? I caved. "Fine, but if your sister starts measuring me for a wedding dress, I'm out of there." Liam laughed. "Sophie, nah, she's more likely to sell you a knockoff and keep the change." Great, just the endorsement I needed, I thought as we arrived at Liam's family home. He wasn't kidding about their place. It was like something out of a magazine, all sleek lines and expensive tastes. My thrift shop chic outfit suddenly felt very out of place as we approached the door. Liam's parents were the picture of upper-class warmth. His mom, Grace, enveloped me in a hug that felt surprisingly genuine, while his dad, David, offered a firm handshake and a friendly nod. So far, so good. Then came Sophie. She sauntered in like she owned the place, which in a way, she probably did. "So, you're the girl who's been keeping my brother away from us," she said, eyeing me like I was a puzzle she couldn't quite solve. Dinner was a minefield. Every question Grace asked was laced with curiosity and a hint of judgment, while David was more interested in Liam's work, occasionally throwing a question my way like an afterthought. But Sophie was on a whole other level. "So, Chloe, Liam tells us you're into fashion, planning to make a career out of selling clothes," she asked with a slight smirk. I bristled but kept my cool. "More than selling, actually. I'm looking into becoming an image stylist. There's an art to creating an image, a persona. It's not just about the clothes." "Art, huh?" Sophie smirked again. "Sounds fanciful. And here I thought art was about expression, not dressing up mannequins." I could feel Liam tensing beside me, but I placed a hand on his arm. "Everyone's got their medium, Sophie. Some use canvas, others use a camera," I said, glancing at Liam. "And some of us use fabric and texture. It's all expression in the end." The rest of the evening passed in a blur of forced politeness and subtle digs from Sophie. By the time Liam and I said our goodbyes, I was more than ready to escape into the night. Meeting his family was one thing, but dealing with his sister Sophie was a whole other level of drama I hadn't signed up for. It all kicked off one afternoon at the boutique, right in the middle of a busy spell, when Sophie decided to grace us with her presence. She strutted in like she owned the place, her eyes scanning the store until they landed on me. "Hey Chloe, you're going to hook me up with a discount, right? Family perks and all that," she said, smirking as she held up a dress from the new collection. I was already bracing for trouble. "Sophie, you know I can't do that. This is the latest line, no discounts, not even for family." Her smirk dropped, replaced by a scowl. "What? Come on, don't be such a stick in the mud. I'm practically your sister." I shook my head, trying to keep my voice even. "Rules are rules, Sophie. I can't just change them for you." That set her off. She threw the dress down and stormed out, muttering about how I'd regret this. I sighed, knowing this wasn't going to end there. Sure enough, Liam gave me an earful later. "Chloe, why couldn't you just give her the discount? She's my sister. We're supposed to look out for each other." I was fuming but tried to stay calm. "Liam, I'm not about to lose my job over a discount. She was asking for something I can't do. It's not about not wanting to help. It's about not being able to." He didn't get it, or maybe he didn't want to. Either way, things were tense for a while. Meanwhile, family dinners became a minefield. Sophie never missed a chance to gloat about her new rich boyfriend and their upcoming wedding, laying it on thick about how amazing everything was going to be. Liam ate it up, always encouraging her, while I just sat there forcing a smile, feeling like I was on the outside looking in. "Don't miss this chance, Sophie," Liam would say, and all I could do was nod along, wondering when this charade would end. It was clear Sophie enjoyed making me squirm, reveling in any chance to show me up in front of Liam and his parents. And Liam. He was caught in the middle, always trying to smooth things over but never quite seeing the whole picture. Despite the ups and downs, especially with Sophie stirring the pot at every opportunity, Liam and I found our little slice of happiness. It was one of those lazy Sundays, the kind where the world seems to pause just for you, when Liam decided to flip our world upside down in the best way possible. We were sprawled on the couch, a marathon of some show we weren't really watching playing in the background. I was mid-yawn when Liam muted the TV and turned to me with this look, you know, the kind that says something big is coming, but you're not quite sure if you're ready for it. "Chloe, we need to talk," he said, suddenly serious. I sat up straight, my heart racing. "What's up? Everything okay?" He took a deep breath, running his hands through his hair. "Yeah, no, everything's fine. Better than fine, actually. I've been thinking. Here it comes, I thought. He's had enough." Sophie finally got to him. "I don't want to wait any longer, Chloe. I want us to start planning our future together." I blinked, processing. What do you mean? He got off the couch, knelt down on one knee, and suddenly it clicked. Chloe, will you marry me? My heart stopped, then raced. Are you serious right now? You're asking me now. Yeah, why not? He grinned, that confident, slightly cocky grin that drove me wild. I love you, Chloe. I want to spend my life with you, drama and all. So what do you say? I looked at him kneeling there, so sure of himself, of us, and despite the voice in my head screaming about Sophie and all the complications, I knew my answer. Yes, I whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Liam's face lit up, and he swept me into his arms, spinning me around. That's my girl. But then reality crept in, as it always does. Liam, you do realize what you're signing up for, right? Your sister, my job, us. It's not going to be easy. He set me down, his hands on my shoulders, looking me straight in the eye. Chloe, I don't care about any of that. We'll figure it out together. Sophie will come around, and if she doesn't, well, that's on her. You and me, we're a team now. His words were like a balm, soothing the worry that had taken root in my chest. A team, huh? I like the sound of that. Yeah, Team Chloe and Liam against the world. We laughed, the tension melting away, replaced by a sense of rightness, of belonging. In that moment, it didn't matter what Sophie thought or what anyone else said. We were in this together, for better or worse. Wedding prep was in full swing, and it was turning into my full-time gig. I was all over it from the get-go, designing the whole shebang. I dreamed up a vibe for the day that was elegant, but with a twist, and ordered this bomb dress with a massive bow that screamed me. The girls were getting outfitted in styles I handpicked, and I had a vision that tied everything together. I dove headfirst into planning the decor, custom-designed invitations, unique guest gifts, and photo zones that would make your Instagram pop. The arch, tables, chairs, everything had to match the vibe. I was buzzing, imagining the looks on everyone's faces when they saw the setup. Grace, my future mother-in-law, was on this journey with me. We hit the shops like a storm on weekends, hunting for those perfect little touches. Over coffee, she'd spill how impressed she was with my dedication. You're really going all out, aren't you? Sophie's not even half as involved with her plans, she'd say, shaking her head. One day, Grace asked if I could give Sophie a hand with her wedding stuff. Honestly, I wasn't keen, but Grace looked so hopeful, so I said, sure, I'll talk to her. Sophie, though, wasn't having any of it. I don't need your help, thanks, she snapped, all high and mighty. I just shrugged it off, thinking, fine by me, less drama. The closer we got to the wedding, the more real it all felt. Every piece of the puzzle was falling into place, and I couldn't wait to see it come to life. Liam was my rock through it all, always there with a word of encouragement or a helping hand. Babe, this is going to be epic. Can't believe you pulled all this together, he'd say, eyes wide as he looked over the plans. Yeah, well, it's got to be perfect, right? For us, I'd respond, feeling that mix of nerves and excitement bubbling up inside. We'd spend nights going over every little detail, making sure nothing was missed. It was exhausting, but in the best kind of way. The thought of walking down an aisle, perfectly designed just as I'd imagined, towards Liam made all the late nights worth it. Sophie's wedding happened 2 months before ours, and we were kindly invited to the ceremony. But what I saw there hit me like a punch to the gut. Walking into that wedding felt like stepping into a twisted version of my own dream. Everything I'd meticulously planned for our wedding was right there, my designs, my ideas, even the flowers on the tables. It felt like I had been robbed, not of jewels, but of my dreams. I nudged Liam, disbelief clear in my voice. Can you believe this? It's our wedding. She's taken everything. Liam looked around, clearly uncomfortable. Babe, it's fine. Let's not make a scene. It's her day. Her day? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's supposed to be our day. She's wearing my dress, Liam, and that's my bouquet in her hands. As Sophie made her grand entrance, looking like a carbon copy of my dream wedding, the sting of betrayal cut deep. Guests oohed and snapped pictures of the decor I poured my heart into. Their joy was like a knife in my gut. I turned to Liam, desperation in my voice. She stole our wedding. How can you be okay with this? Liam, always the peacemaker, sighed and avoided my gaze. Don't do this now. It's Sophie's wedding. Don't ruin it. Ruin it. The irony was almost unbearable. I was the victim here, yet somehow I was expected to smile and nod while Sophie paraded around in my dream. The urge to flee, to run from this mockery of my plans, was overwhelming. But as I stood there, surrounded by stolen dreams, a fire lit within me. No, I wouldn't run. This wasn't just about centerpieces and dresses. It was about respect, about the sanctity of my ideas. Liam, I said, my voice low but firm, this isn't right. You know it. I need to know how she got her hands on my plans. He looked at me then, worry in his eyes, but before he could respond, Sophie was upon us, beaming in her ill-gotten gown. Isn't it just perfect? She gushed, oblivious or indifferent to the turmoil she'd caused. I forced a smile, my mind racing. It's something. All right. Tell me, Sophie, where'd you get the inspiration? Her laughter was as fake as the facade we were all maintaining. Oh, here and there. A girl has her sources. With those words, she walked away, mingling with the guests. Sources. The word echoed mockingly in my head. My sources, my plans, my wedding. Liam tried to steer the conversation elsewhere, but I was done. Done playing the understanding fiancé, done watching my wedding play out like some cruel joke. I made my way to Grace, who stood next to Sophie, basking in the praises showered upon the stolen decor by oblivious guests. 6 months of planning, Sophie boasted, and Grace nodded along, pride written all over her face. Fueled by a mix of hurt and determination, I confronted Sophie and Grace. Who came up with this? Who's the mastermind behind the wedding design? My voice cut through the murmurs, attracting curious glances. Sophie's confident smirk faltered under my gaze, and the guests fell into an uneasy silence. Grace, caught off guard, turned to me, asking, "Is everything all right, dear?" Before I could respond, Liam was by my side, his hand on my arm, trying to lead me away. "Let's not do this here. It's Sophie's day," he whispered, pleading. I pulled my arm away, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. Why, Liam? Why did Sophie steal my wedding plans? How did she even get my dress? Sophie's eyes darted to Liam, her facade crumbling. Liam, with a sigh of resignation, faced me. "Look, our wedding was still a way off. I thought Sophie could use your ideas and the dress. It saved money." I stared at him, struggling to process his words. "You gave her my dress and my ideas, and you think it's okay because it saves a few bucks." The justification hung heavy in the air, tainted with betrayal. Liam, faltering under my gaze, added, "We can always push our wedding back, let people forget about the design. I'd do anything for my sister." Sophie, emboldened by Liam's support, couldn't resist a dig. "I just had to have that dress. It was too beautiful to pass up. Now you can say you're following in my footsteps." That was the last straw. My vision blurred with tears of frustration and heartache. I faced Liam, the guests, the entire room. "I can't do this. I won't marry someone who puts his sister's whims over our plans, our future." Liam reached for me, but I stepped back, my decision clear. "No, Liam, this isn't about a dress or decorations. It's about respect and trust, and it's clear I can't trust you to stand by me." Grace, my almost mother-in-law, surprisingly took my side. "Joe's right," she said, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "This isn't how we raised our kids, to steal and lie." The folks on Sophie's would-be husband's side looked like they'd swallowed sour grapes. Starting a life on a lie, that's no foundation for a marriage, They muttered, disappointment etched on their faces. Then, the would-be groom, a guy I barely knew beyond polite hellos, took the stage, literally grabbing the mic. "There won't be a wedding today. I can't marry someone who's okay with such deceit." His eyes met mine for a moment, filled with apology, but I couldn't find it in me to feel sorry for Sophie. Her reaction was something out of a bad soap opera. Tears, screams, and then, as if to punctuate her outrage, she threw her bouquet to the ground and started stomping on it. A part of me wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it all, but the sadness in Grace's eyes stopped me. Liam, my now ex-fiancé, seemed more concerned about his sister's theatrics than the mess he'd helped create. "Look what you've done, Cho. You're ruining everything," he accused, his words aimed at me like darts. His parents, however, weren't on the same page. "We're ashamed," they said, their disappointment directed at Liam and Sophie. "Ashamed to have raised children who think this is okay." Walking away from that mess, I felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. Relief that I dodged a lifetime of being second to Sophie's whims, and sorrow for what could have been if Liam had been the partner I thought he was. After the storm comes the calm, they say, and in my case, after a hurricane of emotions and a tornado of drama, I finally found my peace. It wasn't overnight, mind you. It took a good chunk of soul-searching and a whole lot of me time, but I got there. One afternoon, sitting in the quiet of my living room, surrounded by sketches and fabric swatches, I realized I was finally doing what I loved again, designing, creating, dreaming. Only this time, it was for me. My phone rang, breaking the silence. It was Emma, my best friend, her timing impeccable as always. "Chloe, girl, how's the world's next big wedding stylist doing today?" Her voice was a warm hug over the phone. I chuckled, shaking my head even though she couldn't see me. "Getting there, Emma. Actually working on a new project right now. That's my girl. Hey, remember that boutique on 5th? The one we loved. They're looking for a designer to revamp their bridal section. Sounds right up your alley." My heart skipped a beat. "Really? That's huge." Emma laughed. "Yeah, you should totally go for it. Show them what you're made of." And I did. I poured my heart and soul into a portfolio, showcasing not just my skills but my vision, my passion for fashion that told a story, celebrating love in all its forms. Walking into that boutique, portfolio in hand, felt like stepping into a new chapter of my life. The interview was more of a conversation, a shared excitement for what weddings could be, and when they offered me the job on the spot, it was more than an opportunity. It was validation, a sign that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. But amid the new beginnings, there was one loose end that needed tying up: Liam. The whole wedding debacle left me not just heartbroken but financially in the lurch too. So, I decided it was time to square things away for my peace of mind. I met Liam at a quiet coffee shop, a neutral ground for what was sure to be an uncomfortable conversation. "Chloe, he started, but I held up a hand, cutting him off. "Liam, save it. I'm not here to rehash what happened. I'm here about the wedding, the one that didn't happen because of, well, you know why." He nodded, looking down at his coffee. "Yeah, I know. I want compensation, Liam, for the moral damage and the costs of the wedding that didn't happen because of your actions." "It's only fair," I said, my voice steady, stronger than I felt. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Chloe, I know I messed up. How much are we talking?" I slid a piece of paper across the table with the numbers written down. "It's not just about the money, Liam. It's about acknowledging the impact of what you did." He looked at the figure, winced, but then nodded. "Okay, I'll make it right, Chloe. I owe you that much. And Liam," I added, meeting his gaze squarely, "this is the last time we do this dance. From here on out, we go our separate ways for good." Walking out of that coffee shop, I felt lighter. It wasn't just about the money, it was about standing up for myself, drawing a line, and demanding respect. It was the final step in a journey that took me from being the victim of my circumstances to the architect of my future.
Hey guys, I'm Athena. Though I'm not the youngest around here, I've got a story you might find interesting. It's about how I finally got back at my ex, Kingston, and his mom, Mary. Took nearly 8 years post-divorce. But hey, revenge is a dish best served cold, right? Now I'm flying solo, and honestly, after the roller coaster of my marriage, I'm not exactly eager to dive back into dating. But hey, at least I've got my revenge to keep me company. Kingston and I met through work, thanks to a colleague's cousin. Sparks flew at one of those anniversary parties. At first, he was all charm and sweetness. Sure, he wasn't swimming in cash, but I saw something in him, so I took a chance. Things were great initially. We were that couple, couldn't keep our hands off each other. But as time went on, Kingston's true colors started showing. He criticized my spending habits, saying I was too frugal. Like seriously, just because I earn more doesn't mean I gotta splurge at all, right? But nope, he kept pushing, making me feel like I was hiding my money from him. Total BS. His words stung, sure, but I figured maybe I was being unfair. I mean, I did earn more, so maybe I should be spending more, right? Yeah, I fell for that trap. So I tried to make him happy, even footed most of the wedding bill myself. And don't get me started on household expenses. I was coughing up over 70%. At the time, I thought I was just being a supportive partner. Ha! Talk about being blind to the truth. However, I never imagined I'd be taken advantage of in the name of love. Just a few months after marrying Kingston, his mom moved in with us. Yep, she just waltzed right in with her suitcases. She goes, "So Athena, surprised to see me? Well, get used to it. I'm moving in." What? Hold on, Mary. Who gave you the green light to just barge into our house and make yourself at home? Calm down, Athena. I invited Mom over. She's staying with us now. Why all the drama? She can't fend for herself forever. But Kingston, we never discussed this. How could you make such a decision without consulting me? Look, you make enough money to take care of all of us. So I didn't think I needed to consult you. Besides my mom, my money, my house. I was livid with both Kingston and Mary for disrespecting me like that. But I had no choice but to let Mary stay. Our rented house was in both our names, even though I was the only one footing the bills. Kingston hardly ever had money for anything. In the 5 years we were together, he never bought me a single gift. Now, I'm not one for extravagant gifts, but his lack of effort in the relationship bothered me. And then I was stuck paying for his mom, who didn't lift a finger around the house. One day, I couldn't take it anymore. I confided in a colleague about Kingston and Mary, and his face fell. I knew he was hiding something. When I pressed him, he dropped a bombshell. Kingston was addicted to gambling. He'd lost his previous job for stealing cash. I felt like my world was crashing down. At first, I refused to believe it, but then he showed me screenshots of their conversations, with pictures of Kingston gambling with girls around him. I was sickened. I marched home and confronted Kingston. "I know all about your gambling, Kingston, and your theft. What's wrong with you? Please, Athena. Not everyone wants to be a penny-pinching middle-class worker like you. I'll make millions. I'm getting good at it. We'll be rich soon." "You're out of your mind, Kingston. And where did you get the money for your gambling?" "Your savings account had some good cash. Came in handy for my games." I froze. One betrayal wasn't enough. He'd secretly been dipping into my savings. I was devastated, screaming at him for touching what was mine. I'd worked tirelessly for years to build up those savings, only to watch them disappear due to Kingston's gambling addiction. As our argument escalated, Mary intervened, predictably siding with her son. "My son is smart, Athena. He'll hit it big with gambling. You're picking fights for no reason. Your money is his money, and he can spend it however he likes." "Absolutely not. That money was earned through hard work and sacrifice. I've been shouldering the household expenses practically solo. unaware that Kingston had lost his job and resorted to stealing from me to fund his addiction. Don't insult my son like that. He's doing you a favor. You're incapable of success on your own. Only Kingston can make something of his life. You're useless. Useless. You have some nerve calling me useless when you've been using my money. Neither you nor your son have lifted a finger to help me. I'm done with both of you. Kingston is a failure who will never amount to anything. I'm leaving. That was the moment I knew I had to divorce Kingston. Despite my love for him, the betrayal was too much to bear. I couldn't stay with a man who thought nothing of squandering my hard-earned money on gambling. I'd grown weary of our marriage long before. Kingston had shown no signs of improvement, so I made the decision to file for divorce. But getting an amicable divorce was a nightmare. My ex pulled out all the stops, begging me to stay before resorting to blackmail, threatening to take half my assets and demand alimony. His mother joined in, harassing me to reconcile. It took months of legal wrangling, with my lawyer finally convincing him to relinquish his claims to alimony and his share of the assets. I even threatened to press charges for bank theft due to his unauthorized withdrawals, which ultimately forced him to sign the divorce papers. At the end of it all, I still lost a significant amount of money due to Kingston's gambling. But even then, Kingston and Mary had one final insult to throw my way. You haven't won, Athena. You're just a worthless witch. Sure, you might be earning a lot now, but mark my words, one day I'll be richer than you. You'll come begging to me for money. We won't forget this insult, Athena. You abandoned my son and me when we needed you. One day you'll pay for it. Kingston will be more successful than you. Oh, we'll see about that. Let's wait and see who ends up doing the begging. Once the divorce was finalized, I left my job and moved to another state, eager to start fresh and put as much distance between myself and Kingston's family as possible. I landed a lucrative promotion, working hard and climbing the ranks over the years until I became a director, a dream come true. Meanwhile, Kingston continued his gambling habits and squandered whatever little money and assets he had left. He and Mary eventually moved to my state to escape their debtors. But then, a twist of fate, Kingston married a wealthy heiress, Riley, whose father was a business associate of mine. He complained to me about Riley and expressed suspicions about his new son-in-law. He also griped about Mary, calling her a freeloader. I stayed silent, knowing it wasn't yet time to take my revenge. Life was good for me until Mary unexpectedly called one day. Hello, Athena, it's Mary. I hope you haven't forgotten me. How could I forget Mary? The dear mother-in-law who mooched off me for years and helped her son steal my money. What's up? Well, Athena, my son isn't the failure you claimed. He's married to a beautiful girl now and has a new job that pays him $120,000 a year. Looks like he's finally successful. Your loss. I couldn't help but laugh. To me, her words were absurdly funny. Most of what she said was a lie. But she didn't realize that I already knew the truth. Instead, she seemed quiet and confused. When I finally got my laughter under control, I said, First of all, dear ex-mother-in-law, Kingston only gets $60,000 a year. There's no reason to lie to people, you know. And yes, I already have all the information about him. What do you mean? Are you accusing me of lying to you? And who told you that he earned $60,000? Well, no one had to, Mary. Do you want to know how I found out? My assistant was the one who interviewed him yesterday. That's impossible. There's no way you're related to the company. It's a big enterprise, and you're just a worthless woman. Here's some news for you, Mary. I am a director at this company, so I'm well aware of how much Kingston can actually get. By the way, you're bold assuming he has got the job. Well, my son is pretty smart and won't have trouble getting the job. You and I both know that. Here's some more news for you, Mary. I checked his name on the list of candidates, and my assistant placed him at the bottom. Like I said 8 years ago, no sane company would hire him with a gap in his record. And don't worry, I will gladly inform his beautiful wife just how you and Kingston have been fooling her. When I said this, Mary started to change her stance completely. I could tell that my words got to her. She might be old, but she's not that dumb. I knew she had already Googled to see if my name popped up in the company. By now, she knew that I wasn't lying. So, Mary resorted to begging. Okay, Athena, look. I see you've made it big in life, but you should also understand that my son has a lot of contributions to your success. You should keep that in mind and give him the job. Can't you just stop making me laugh, Mary? After everything you two have done, do you expect me to help you? I mean, you called me today to gloat about Kingston's apparent success. I just want people to know that he's not a loser. I was trying to prove a point. Anyway, he's married to a rich and beautiful girl. I'm sure she's even richer than you and will support him. Is that so, Mary? Then I think he will have no problem with me telling her the truth. I did see you on her Facebook. She thinks her husband has a 120 job and owns a lot of properties. Mind if I tell her the truth? No, Athena, listen to me. Don't do this to Kingston. You've come so far in life. Why do you want to dwell on the past? Have some pity on us and give Kingston the job. This is the least you can do after being such an unsupportive wife. I made it abundantly clear to Mary that I wouldn't lift a finger to help Kingston. He was perfectly capable of destroying his own reputation, and I had no intention of vouching for him, not even professionally. So instead of bothering me with their fake boasts, Mary should focus on helping her son find a job. Trust me, she would need all the luck she could get. After that, I hung up the phone, ignoring Mary's subsequent calls. I had no interest in indulging her tantrums. Instead, I swiftly got to work, instructing my assistant to send rejection letters to all the unsuccessful candidates, including Kingston. I wanted him to experience his humiliation firsthand. True to form, Kingston called me within an hour of receiving the rejection letter. I picked up, eager for a front row seat to his humiliation. He sounded desperate, nothing like the arrogant jerk I'd divorced. What do you want, Kingston? I see that my dear ex-mother-in-law gave you my number already. Athena, I know you're one of the directors at the company I interviewed for. I just got the rejection letter. Please do something and help me get the job. I know you can help if you want to. Why do you think I would jeopardize my professional life for you? Do you think I'm mad? You have some nerve to ask me for a job after all these years. Look, I know I didn't treat you right back then, but I was still your husband. We do have some good memories. Please consider those and give me the job. My wife, Riley, will leave me if I don't get a job soon. I know that you've lied to Riley about your financial situation. Guess what, Kingston? I know her family. I also have her number from her dad. All I have to do is tell the truth and let her be free. Kingston went silent after hearing this. I knew I'd hit the jackpot with this information. My real revenge had just begun. He immediately started begging me not to tell Riley about everything. I hung up on him without another word. Next, I sent a quick text to Riley, asking her to call me. I explained who I was and hoped Kingston hadn't reached her before me. When she did call, I didn't mince words. Hi, Riley. My name is Athena, and I'm your father's friend. I also happen to be the ex-wife of your now husband. There are a few things you should know about Kingston. He has been lying to you. What do you mean, Athena? What is he lying about? Well, I guess you think he's pretty rich and up to your family standards. Well, he's not rich at all. You posted on Facebook that he got a 120 job. I'm the director of the company he mentioned, and he only applied for a 60 grand job, which he didn't get. What the hell are you talking about? But he told me. I know what he told you, Riley. I've seen it on your Facebook. I know you might not believe me, but you can ask your dad. He can easily find out if Kingston is lying. But I don't understand. Why would Kingston lie to me? Because he wanted to take over your inheritance and properties. He always wanted a luxurious life for himself, and he's a gambler. Unfortunately, we divorced because I refused to fund his lifestyle, support his gambling habits. His mother supports him. Anyway, I don't know what he told you, but that's the truth. You can ask around if you're doubtful about me. I don't want you to be stuck with a liar and a loser. Thank you, Athena. I'll dig for more information and find out. Also, don't worry. I made him sign a prenup and only agreed to remove it once he gets a job. Looks like that won't be happening after all. With that, I finished my part of the revenge. The aftermath was glorious. Mary and Kingston initially kept calling me and begging me to help them. Meanwhile, Riley was on Kingston's case and uncovered the truth herself. Her father was also furious and promised to see the end of Kingston's lies. After 2 days, the tone of the texts I received from Mary and Kingston changed. They called me a witch and a jerk for destroying Kingston's marriage. Riley and her dad confronted him and filed for divorce. Since Riley still had the prenup in place, none of her assets would go to Kingston. Instead, Kingston would now have to hire a lawyer to work through the divorce. Mary and Kingston kept harassing me until I threatened to expose them online. That made them stop contacting me. Last I heard, Kingston still comes by our company to see if there's a position open. Sources say that Mary and Kingston are constantly fighting about money problems. I guess now Mary will finally know what it's like to be stuck with a man-child for the rest of her life. Cancer. Our family has a lengthy history of cancer. She'd always been exceedingly cautious about her health. Nonetheless, tragically, she succumbed to breast cancer. She was just 42, far too young to pass. It's nearly a decade since our divorce, yet memories of her still haunt my heart. My name is David Johnson. I encountered Emily, who would become my spouse, through a mutual acquaintance. She was an aspiring surgeon, and I had recently become a physical therapist. When I was in elementary school, my beloved grandmother succumbed to cancer. I wept so intensely I hyperventilated. Since then, I vowed to become a doctor to spare others the anguish of losing a loved one to illness. Her words resonated with determination and purpose. I fell in love with her for that. Her unwavering gaze, perhaps due to our shared medical backgrounds, fostered a strong bond between us, leading to dating and eventual marriage a year later. However, our relationship gradually drifted apart. She began crying alone more frequently. When I inquired about her well-being, she would dismiss it with a laugh, insisting, "Don't worry, I'm fine." She always had a tendency to conceal important matters and keep them to herself. Later, through medical connections, I heard rumors about Emily. Supposedly, she faced constant discriminatory remarks at work, such as "because you're a woman" or "for a woman." This made it challenging for her to earn trust and caused her to miss out on opportunities, lagging behind her male counterparts. I was livid that someone as diligent as her faced discrimination solely based on her gender. Yet I also felt a pang of disappointment that she didn't confide in me about these issues. It made me question whether she saw me as a dependable confidant. Then, one day, I noticed a sudden change in her demeanor. From then on, she became more devoted to her studies and training. Whenever she had spare time, she'd be at a nearby cafe, buried in her textbooks until closing time. I admired her stoic attitude and respected her for it. However, as the time we spent together dwindled, I began to feel lonely. The reason why she studied outside was that she couldn't concentrate at home. I understood her reasoning, yet it made me feel somewhat like a nuisance, which annoyed me a bit. Gradually, our feelings for each other became misaligned, and eventually, I suggested maybe it's better if we go our separate ways. She solemnly agreed with that. Finally, we divorced. However, over these 10 years, Emily and I weren't completely out of touch. Since our workplaces were close, we occasionally ran into each other downtown or in our neighborhood. "How's work going lately?" "Well, not bad. I've slowly started to perform surgeries myself." "Wow, that's impressive." Since our divorce was amicable, we would stop and chat whenever we met. Yet, about 3 years after our divorce, I transferred to a different hospital. I made sure to inform her about it over the phone. "Good luck. I'll be doing my best too. Hopefully, we'll both be successful in the future." "You'll definitely make it. See you." With that, I ended the call. Later, while working at the new hospital, I met a woman named Karen. She was my patient, and we fell in love and eventually got remarried. This time, I'm determined to make it work. I thought I started a new chapter in my life. I wondered whether I should tell Emily about that. We were even strangers, so I was under no obligation. But as a casual update, I decided to give her a call. Hey, it's been a long time. What's up? Emily sounded genuinely happy to hear from me. We made light conversation, and it seemed she had been recognized as a potential ace at the hospital, thanks to all her hard work. Despite being a woman, I've seen how hard you've worked, Emily. I always believed you could do it. Really hearing you say that means a lot to me. Thanks, David. Hearing my name after so long brought back memories, but I'd started down a different path. Actually, I'm getting married. For a moment, it felt like time stood still for her. However, she quickly responded with, "Oh, really? Wow, congratulations," making me think maybe I was just imagining things. Wait, is that what you called to tell me? You don't have to worry about me. You're not planning on inviting me to the wedding, are you? No, that would be too much. Just kidding. Okay, having said what I needed to, well, that's all I wanted to say. Okay, thanks for letting me know, David. I hope you're happy with that. She hung up. It's been over 5 years since I've had any contact with her. That call was our last conversation. When I arrived at Emily's viewing, I was surprised by the sheer number of people coming and going. I saw Emily's cousin and greeted him. Hi, David. Long time no see. You look well. His name is Alex. He was the one who informed me of Emily's passing. You seem well too, but this is quite a crowd. Most of them are from the hospital where Emily worked. Work? Many patients came as well. Patients too. Yes. So many people were saved by her surgeries. I can't believe someone so amazing was part of our family. I'm really proud. Alex's tears made me feel a lump in my throat. Emily had lived up to her word, wanting to save many people. It's clear she was respected and acknowledged for her efforts as a surgeon by so many. But I wished Emily had taken better care of herself too. It must have been tough fighting the disease for over 6 years. I turned to Alex in surprise. 6 years? The last time I spoke to Emily was 5 years ago. That means she was already battling breast cancer then. Why didn't she tell me? I felt a rush of anger towards her, but I caught myself quickly. At that time, I called to tell her about my upcoming marriage. Perhaps she thought that telling her ex-husband about her cancer would only burden me as I was starting a new chapter. In a way, by announcing my marriage, I distanced myself from her while she faced her fears alone. What a cruel thing I have done. As I offered a flower at her altar, I apologized, regretting my actions. That day, I'm sorry, Emily, for not realizing sooner. I gave a slight nod to her parents, who were still in tears, struggling to come to terms with their loss. Emily was a great person who saved many lives, but to them, she was their irreplaceable daughter. They must have never wanted to witness her passing. The thought made my heart ache. That's when it happened. David, do you have a moment right now? Alex tapped me on the shoulder. Yes, sure. What's up? Actually, there's someone who wants to meet you. Could you come with me? Someone wants to meet me. Who is it? He gestured towards a man. The gentleman right there. He's Emily's current husband. Hearing that, I was taken aback. Her husband faced me and greeted politely, saying, "Pleased to meet you. I'm Raymond." He seemed significantly older. From our conversation, I learned he was the deputy director at the hospital where Emily worked. So she had remarried a highly experienced doctor. However, as her ex-husband, meeting Raymond in that context felt oddly uncomfortable. I'm sorry to take your time. Actually, I have something important I'd like to discuss with you. Raymond and Emily had been planning to open their own hospital. I remember her once saying, "I'd love to build a hospital someday, though I know it's a long shot." I never imagined they were close to making that dream a reality. Her determination never ceased to amaze me. We married 2 years ago. Despite her battle with cancer, she continued to perform surgeries, facing each patient with dedication. I was drawn to her relentless spirit. I knew her prognosis wasn't good, but I wanted to marry her, hoping for the best. Even as a doctor, we wanted to open our hospital together. Raymond wiped away his tears with a handkerchief. He expressed regret that they were so close to realizing their dream, yet it remained unfulfilled. Though Emily has passed, I want to carry on her will, open the hospital, and continue helping many patients just as she did. His gaze was as steadfast as Emily's had been. Now, to the matter at hand. We had planned to include a facility to support disabled individuals within the hospital. Support for the disabled too. So, you'll eventually need physical therapists. Exactly. And about the physical therapist position, I was hoping you would consider joining us. Me? I was utterly surprised by the unexpected offer. But he mentioned that Emily had recommended me for the role when they first discussed opening the hospital. Why would Emily recommend me? He smiled. She always spoke highly of you, praising your ability to empathize with patients and motivate them with your words. She even said that one of the reasons she persevered as a surgeon was due to your encouragement. I must admit, her smile when she spoke of you even made me a bit jealous. She said that about me, then something even more surprising came up. It's possible that she still had feelings for you. What? She never mentioned anything like that in front of me, but there were moments when she seemed to be lost in thought, as if she was conversing with memories deep within her. I believe those were moments with you. Raymond's words made me recall my last conversation with her. Indeed, there was an awkward pause when I informed her of my marriage. To think she still had feelings for me was a shock. I never stopped caring about Emily either. Even when I proposed our divorce, I still loved her. But that love was precisely why we had to part ways. She had a profound conviction, the conviction to save lives as a doctor. I didn't want to stand in the way of that. As a fledgling physical therapist, I had my convictions too. I thought I had no regrets about our decision, yet tears now freely flowed down my cheeks. Raymond gently placed his hand on my shoulder. Emily might have been saddened by our separation, but she never regretted her path as a doctor. Instead, she was grateful for your support, which enabled her to strive forward. I loved her, including the moments she shared with you. I'm sorry I'm speculating. She always hid the most important things after all. I responded with a laugh. Really? He assured me there was still time to think it over before parting ways. When I discussed that with my current wife, Karen, she seemed to see right through me. You want to work there, don't you? You've talked about Emily so often. Feeling guilty for my insensitivity, I started to apologize, but she smiled. It's okay. It's not about holding on to the past. You always spoke of Emily with such respect. I understand. Raymond's feelings. Normally, one might be hesitant to work with their spouse's ex, but Raymond accepted her suggestion willingly. She must have respected you deeply, believing you were the right person for this. Your relationship with Emily goes beyond just being ex-spouses, and both Raymond and I believe that. So, follow your heart. Closing my eyes, I reflected on Karen's words. Emily was indeed someone very special to me. It's true. I'm grateful to both Raymond and Karen for understanding that. Years later, I find myself working as a physical therapist at the facility Raymond built in Emily's memory. The hospital is equipped with the latest technology to ensure comprehensive care for cancer patients. It can be called a testament to Emily's legacy. I'm committed to carrying on her will, aspiring to help as many people as she had hoped to. Hey there, I'm Kelly, and I'm 22 years old. I've been lucky to grow up in a family filled with love, and I had a special connection with my mom. Unfortunately, when I was just 11 years old, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and she passed away 3 years later. She left behind her clothes, some precious family heirloom jewelry, and a fund for my college education. However, nothing could fill the void her absence left in my life. Losing her was devastating, and it deeply impacted both my dad, Jeff, and me. My mom's passing strained the relationship between my dad and me. We struggled to communicate and slowly drifted apart, feeling like we had both lost a crucial anchor in our lives. Then, About a year and a half later, my dad introduced me to Martha, the woman he was seeing. Although I thought it might be too soon, seeing my dad happy gave me some comfort, so I supported him. They tied the knot 7 months later. Martha was kind, and I genuinely wanted my dad to be happy. But I couldn't quite connect with her. I understood that she could never replace my mom. I made it clear to my dad that I respected her as his wife, but I couldn't see her as my mother. I hoped he would convey my feelings to Martha. Unfortunately, it seemed either he hadn't or Martha chose to ignore his words. Soon after they got married, she began imposing her beliefs and values on me. Whenever I resisted, she complained to my dad, who, seeking peace, asked us to resolve our issues on our own. One major point of contention was her insistence that I stop reading my favorite book series, deeming it childish. Despite her pressure, I stood firm, explaining how much joy those books brought me. Our disagreements only magnified the tension between us, especially when Martha expected me to treat her like a mother, a role I firmly believed she couldn't fulfill. I made it crystal clear to her. I see you solely as my dad's wife, nothing more. Understand that you can't replace my mother, and I won't be forced to call you mom. Ignoring my protests, she insisted I call her mom and, to enforce it, confiscated my beloved books. Frustrated, I threatened to tell my dad, curious about whose side he'd take, his wife's or his daughter's. But she just smirked and walked off with my books. When I reached out to my dad for help, he dismissed my concerns, claiming he was too exhausted from work to mediate between Martha and me. He suggested I handle it alone. That stung. It was then I realized where his priorities lay: his job, his new wife, his ideal home. Everything else seemed to take precedence over his relationship with me. However, he'd never taken my side or even attempted to mediate a fair discussion with Martha, so I decided to keep a low profile. The constant rebellion wasn't changing anything, and I realized that the best thing for me would be to move out. As soon as I hit 19, I knew Dad wouldn't mind, and Martha's opinions were irrelevant to me. For the next year, I barely spoke up or responded to Martha's provocations, even when she tried to parade me as her daughter in front of her friends or demanded I call her mom in their presence, leading to inevitable arguments afterward. Yet, I remained indifferent. Perhaps Dad was trying to respect my one request by not forcing the issue, or maybe he just couldn't be bothered. Martha's frustration with me only grew, her disdain palpable. But as soon as I turned 19, I was ready to leave. My mom had left me enough money to get through college comfortably, and I had secured a scholarship. Moving out was my escape, my chance to start fresh without the constant tension and babbles at home. Leaving home happened so suddenly that it caught both my dad and Martha by surprise. Not long after I settled into my new place, Martha called upset and questioned how I could just leave like that. I'm 19, I reminded her, highlighting that at my age, it's normal for people to move out and start living independently. She complained about how upset they were, to which I pointed out that she had always urged me to act like my peers who were also moving out at this stage of their lives. When she tried to guilt-trip me by saying my dad was sad and worried because of my departure, I suggested that if that were true, he could reach out to me directly. Martha then insisted on her role in my life, claiming a right to know why I left so abruptly. I had to make it clear to her she was not my mother, and her attempts to control my life were the reason for my departure. Despite her denials, it was evident to me that Martha's efforts to dictate my actions were unwavering. After hanging up on Martha, I felt a profound sense of freedom. For the first time, I could make choices about simple things like what to wear or what to eat without criticism. I relished the liberty to go out without having to plan days ahead. My newfound independence allowed me to enjoy simple pleasures like going bowling, a pastime Martha had absurdly labeled as too provocative. In the following years, my communication with Dad and Martha was minimal. If they really cared, I figured they would make an effort to reach out. Time flew by, and during my college years, I thrived academically and became well known on campus. Conversations with my dad became monthly check-ins, during which he mentioned that Martha had nearly stopped bringing me up. Yet, on the occasions my name did come up, it seemed to stir some reaction. Martha's reaction to any mention of me hadn't changed much. She'd quickly become upset and shift the conversation. However, my dad started to initiate more calls, perhaps finding some solace in our conversations amidst Martha's constant antics. It felt like the distance between us had somewhat bridged the gap, making our relationship a bit closer. One day, Dad called unexpectedly. The conversation quickly turned to how I was managing my studies and his casual update on Martha's latest mood swings. He mentioned a call from Uncle Tyler, a relative we hadn't heard from in a while, who was planning his 53rd birthday celebration and wanted us there. Excited at the prospect of reuniting with Uncle Tyler, I was initially hesitant when Dad suggested I stay with them. My reluctance stemmed from past experiences where Dad had failed to support me against Martha's behaviors. Sensing my hesitation, Dad earnestly asked me to give it another chance, revealing he'd been attending therapy to become a better father. This admission took me by surprise and sparked a glimmer of hope that things might be different this time. He promised to stand by me if any issues arose with Martha, a pledge he had never made before. Encouraged by his commitment and the noticeable change in his approach, I agreed to stay with them during Uncle Tyler's birthday celebration, though I remained cautious, not fully convinced yet willing to see if Dad's promises would hold true. I found myself genuinely looking forward to the visit. This would be a chance to not only reconnect with my family, but also to see if the newfound dynamics between Dad and me could truly make a difference. Although the prospect of being around Martha wasn't appealing to me, the excitement of seeing Uncle Tyler again overshadowed it. Uncle Tyler, my mom's older brother, held a special place in our hearts. He stepped in to raise my mom after their parents passed away. And when I was born, he was incredibly loving, showering me with affection and gifts. However, life's responsibilities, including joining the police academy and starting his own family, along with the profound impact of my mom's passing, led him to distance himself for a while. We hardly knew of his well-being except for occasional updates from his wife. Then, when my dad remarried and Martha entered our lives, she insisted we sever ties with my mom's side of the family. At that point, our connection with them was already minimal, so distancing further wasn't difficult. I suspected Martha would be displeased about us rekindling ties with my mom's family, and probably even more so about us visiting them. But it didn't matter to me. I was just thrilled to see my dad stand up to her for once. After my midterms, I returned home, bringing along one of my mom's dresses and some of her jewelry to wear at Uncle Tyler's birthday. It felt like a way to have her presence there with us. My dad picked me up from the airport, mentioning that Martha was out for the day, which meant we had some quality time to ourselves before the celebration. Our visit to Uncle Tyler's was emotional, given the long time apart, but thankfully Martha wasn't there to dampen the mood. The evening was wonderful, filled with stories about my mom and her family. I learned that Uncle Tyler had been promoted to sergeant at his precinct, a fact that filled me with pride. I shared tales of my college life, and we all enjoyed a good laugh together. Returning home past midnight, Martha was waiting up for us, visibly displeased by our long absence. Yet my dad simply told her to relax, explaining we had spent time with family we hadn't seen in years. It was a moment that showed how much we valued reconnecting with our roots, regardless of the tension it might have caused with Martha. Upon returning from our visit to Uncle Tyler's, Martha confronted us with a mix of accusation and resentment, questioning the newfound connection with my mom's family. I tried explaining that it's possible to belong to more than one family. While the thought of being around Martha wasn't appealing to me, the excitement of seeing Uncle Tyler again overshadowed any reservations. Uncle Tyler, my mom's older brother, held a special place in our hearts. He stepped in to raise my mom after their parents passed away, and from the moment I was born, he showered me with affection and gifts. Life's responsibilities, including joining the police academy and starting his own family, along with the profound impact of my mom's passing, led Uncle Tyler to distance himself for a while. We hardly knew of his well-being except for occasional updates from his wife. Then, when my dad remarried and Martha entered our lives, she insisted we sever ties with my mom's side of the family. At that point, our connection with them was already minimal, so further distancing wasn't difficult. I suspected Martha would be displeased about us rekindling ties with my mom's family, and probably even more so about us visiting them. That it didn't matter to me. I was just thrilled to see my dad stand up to her for once. After my midterms, I returned home, bringing along one of my mom's dresses and some of her jewelry to wear at Uncle Tyler's birthday. It felt like a way to have her presence there with us. My dad picked me up from the airport, mentioning that Martha was out for the day, which meant we had some quality time to ourselves before the celebration. Our visit to Uncle Tyler's was emotional given the long time apart, but thankfully Martha wasn't there to dampen the mood. The evening was wonderful, filled with stories about my mom and her family. I learned that Uncle Tyler had been promoted to sergeant at his precinct, a fact that filled me with pride. I shared tales of my college life, and we all enjoyed a good laugh together. Returning home past midnight, Martha was waiting up for us, visibly displeased by our long absence. Yet my dad simply told her to relax, explaining we had spent time with family we hadn't seen in years. It was a moment that showed how much we valued reconnecting with our roots, regardless of the tension it might have caused with Martha. Upon returning from our visit to Uncle Tyler's, Martha confronted us with a mix of accusation and resentment, questioning the newfound connection with my mom's family. I tried explaining that it's possible to belong to more than one family. We're heading to my parents' house again this year, James announces, and I can't help but let out a sigh. We agreed to alternate between our parents' homes, remember? I remind him, recalling the promise we made before tying the knot. If we go to your parents', it'll be stressful. I want to relax during the New Year celebration. James grimaces at my resentful look. How about this year you go to your parents alone, and Ava and I go to mine? I suggest, but James shakes his head. That's not going to work. The whole point of going is to be dutiful children. If you're not there, it defeats the purpose. You mean you need a housekeeper, don't you? I swallow those words, not wanting to create a hostile atmosphere in front of Ava. I'm Sophia, a working mom married to James for 4 years. We have a 3-year-old daughter named Ava, a late talker but adorable. Whenever we visit my in-laws, I'm the one stuck doing all the housework. James is usually out with his friends, not around to help. To make matters worse, Emma's family, who live nearby, always seem to visit at the same time. Even though they live nearby, they stay overnight, probably to dump the housework and childcare on me. Emma got married young and has 4 kids, all boys. The older 2 are in elementary school, and the younger ones are in daycare, with one still a baby. Neither Emma nor Angela lifts a finger when I'm around, so I'm running around all day doing chores. Why do I have to sacrifice my time so everyone else can enjoy their New Year celebration? I've actually been thinking about divorcing James, and I've had everything ready. The tipping point was a summer vacation 2 years ago. James left in the afternoon and didn't come back until late at night, leaving me worried. I wonder what happened, I muttered, and a tipsy Emma let it slip. He probably fell asleep. He's at Sarah's place, so he's fine, Emma confessed after I pressed her. According to her, Sarah is an old high school girlfriend, but they're just friends now. But to me, that doesn't sound like a just friends situation. At the time, our daughter was only 1, and the thought of becoming a single mom was daunting. So I hesitated before taking the divorce step. But each time we visit my in-laws and James goes out with his friends, it becomes unbearable. Eventually, I hired a private investigator and gathered evidence of his infidelity. With the evidence in hand, I consulted a lawyer and explained the situation to my parents, planning to move closer to them after the divorce. Diligently, I began preparing for the transition, searching for a new place to live, job opportunities, and childcare for Ava. This visit to my in-laws would likely be the last. That's what I was thinking as we arrived on the day of our departure. Due to work commitments, we got there on the 31st, navigating through jam-packed highways. As soon as we arrived, Angela wasted no time. "Could you make lunch right away?" she demanded. Still holding our travel bags, frozen in place, I heard her directive. "Just make something simple," she added before swiftly retreating to the living room. I was prepared for this, but it still stung. I stowed our bags in a corner of the living room, turned on a device, and donned my apron. I should have turned it on sooner, I thought to myself as I quickly prepared a variety of dishes. But just as I was about to sit down to eat, Emma whisked my plate away. "I'm breastfeeding, so I need to eat a lot. I'll take Sophia's portion too," she declared, and before I knew it, all the food I prepared was gone. But that was my portion. When people are too shocked, words often fail them. I could barely muster a complaint. James, who had finished eating, chimed in. "Sophia, it's fine to skip a meal once in a while," siding with Emma. She quickly started eating my portion, adding, "Exactly. Oh, the baby's crying. Can you hold him?" she said, pointing at the baby while chewing her food. Meanwhile, Angela urged, "Come on, Sophia, hold the baby." My in-laws were watching TV, sipping coffee, and James was lounging around. I hadn't sat down since we arrived. As I walked around holding the fussy, sleepy baby, David yelled, "I can't hear the TV. Take the baby outside until he falls asleep." Finally, when the baby did fall asleep, Angela summoned me to wash the dishes and then go shopping. The catch? We have to pay for everything, and they even request high-end ingredients and pantry staples. With all these adults around, no one helped clean up. I've been treated more and more like a housekeeper each year, and I couldn't help but give a dry laugh. That's when Emma dropped a bombshell. "Great, we've eaten, so we're going to the countdown. Take care of the 4 kids, will you?" As Emma was about to head out, I hurriedly stopped her. "Wait, you mean the New Year's countdown? You're leaving now?" It was just past 2:00 p.m. Yeah, the venue is a bit far, and we don't want to lose a parking spot. Plus, we don't want the kids to find out, she explained. No wonder Maddie, who had been fiddling with his phone, was gone. Emma and her husband wanted to go out without the kids. "I have to go shopping. Please wait until I get back," I pleaded. "The moms are here, so it's fine," Emma reassured me. Just when I thought it might be okay, Angela said something outrageous. "Oh, David and I are invited to a neighbor's place. David already left, and I'm leaving soon, so Sophia, please do a thorough cleaning before we get back." Even my in-laws were leaving me stunned. I didn't know what to say. But Emma suggested, "Why don't you take the kids shopping?" I was shocked and replied, "My car can't fit 5 kids, and we don't even have enough car seats. Just have the older ones hold the younger ones. That's what we always do," she said casually. It struck me then. Their car was also a 5-seater. Could it be they don't use car seats? I was too scared to ask. "Or you could leave the baby since he's asleep." "If you hurry, he'll be fine," Emma added. "I can't leave a baby alone, and I have multiple stops to make," I protested. As I insisted, Angela became furious. "Come on, Sophia, stop complaining. Emma is usually tired from taking care of the kids. Let her relax for once," she retorted. Then, "Angela, please stay and watch the kids," I countered. "I can't. I've already made plans with the neighbors, and my knee hurts, so I can't take care of the kids," Angela easily deflected, even when I pushed back. Then James stepped in, wearing a coat as if he's going somewhere. "Hey, Emma, can you ask Sophia for a favor?" he requested, but it seemed impossible. "James, can you at least watch them while I go shopping?" "I'm going with them, so I can't," Emma replied. My mind went blank at James's words. What was decided from the start that the 3 of them are going? What about Ava and me and Emma's kids? As I fired off questions, James got annoyed. "Stop nagging. Just do the housework, Sophia." "That's what a daughter-in-law is supposed to do," he said dismissively. I was about to explode with anger. Maybe I'd been too patient all this time. Just as I was about to yell, Emma's kids, Michael and Thomas, came in. "Are the moms going somewhere?" "We want to go too." "It's not fair." "Let's all go," they protested. They must have figured out their parents were going somewhere and started making a fuss. Good, keep it up, I muttered to myself. The kids continued. Why don't we all go? I suggested with a smile. James and the others exchanged glances, but then James slipped up in frustration. No, it's supposed to be a double date, he admitted. A date? I couldn't help but ask. Wait, you idiot. Emma hurriedly smacked James on the head, but it was too late. A double date? I'm James's wife. Do you know who James's date is? Is it that Sarah person? My voice dropped in the room, and the room fell silent, even the kids, perhaps shocked. James becomes defiant. So what if I have female friends? Are you saying you won't allow me to have friends of the opposite sex now that we're married? He retorts. Don't change the subject, Emma. You knew about this, didn't you? I ask in a low voice. Angela and Emma exchange glances. Angela murmurs, I found out because James told me. He can't come back here because he can't have a successor, and she's against living together with him. In that case, wouldn't it be better to remarry someone you know from the local area? She continues. So you're all condoning this affair. For the record, it's James who doesn't want to move back because it's more convenient in the city. Don't blame me, I snap. Something inside me snaps. The kids quietly slip away, leaving Angela, Emma, James, and me. I was about to spill everything when Angela clasps her hands, signaling the end of the discussion. Let's stop this. It's New Year's. Let's enjoy it as planned, Angela says before leaving with Emma. Sophia, let's just drop it, okay? I'm really looking forward to the countdown event and want to get going. Emma tries to leave as if nothing happened, but I won't let her. Emma, either take the kids with you or cancel your plans. I absolutely can't and won't take care of them. I made myself clear, I assert. Angela bursts in anger. What are you saying? You and Emma are different. You're just a daughter-in-law, while Emma is blood family. Let her enjoy the New Year's celebration. So the truth comes out. I suspected this was how they saw me, but hearing it directly is something else. So you're saying I'm an outsider? Of course, you're just a daughter-in-law. You're not family. Angela repeats herself when I ask for clarification. Then I'll go to my parents' house. If Angela sees me as a stranger, then Emma is too. I can't take responsibility for someone else's kids, I state firmly. Angela is at a loss for words, caught off guard. Hey, Sophia, what are you saying to Mom? James yells, but it's so off the mark it's infuriating. James, aren't you bothered by what Mom said? She called me an outsider, I retort. Well, you are a daughter-in-law. Unbelievable. What about Ava? Ava is my daughter, my blood family. So even though Ava is your blood family and I'm her mother, I'm not family? What am I then? Your housekeeper. I say, hitting the nail on the head. Hey, watch your language. James interjects. No, I hit the nail on the head, but your housekeeper is resigning. I'm filing for divorce and will be seeking alimony from both you and your affair partner, Sarah. I declare boldly. Saying the word divorce feels liberating. James is shocked, yelling, Why divorce all of a sudden? Emma adds, Don't talk about divorce over something like this. It's New Year's Eve. Stop joking. Angela doesn't seem to think I'm serious. Just then, Ava comes in and quietly says, Let's go, Mom. She tries to pull me outside. She was quietly playing in the living room earlier, but it seems she's worried about me after hearing our argument. That settles it for me. I pick up Ava. Let's go to Mommy's house, I say, and Ava hugs me tightly. Fortunately, our bags are still unpacked, sitting in a corner of the living room. I grab one. Wait, if you don't watch the kids, we can't go to the countdown event. We were really looking forward to it. Emma persists, pushing her agenda. I'm a stranger, remember. I'm going back to my family now. But that's inconvenient for me. We've already booked expensive seats for the event. Thinking you'd watch the kids. It's too late to cancel now. If you're going to divorce, do it after the New Year celebration, Emma, I reply calmly. Are you saying the event is more important than my divorce? James looks dumbfounded, which I find oddly amusing. James, Take the train back, I say, dropping the line and grabbing the car keys. We'll discuss the details of the divorce through lawyers. Oh, and by the way, I've recorded our entire conversation, I add, pulling out a voice recorder from my pocket. Family-wide cheating and emotional abuse. This will make excellent evidence, I say with a grin. What do you mean recording? Emma, Angela, and James look stunned, their faces blank. Before the New Year's countdown, the countdown to divorce was already ticking. I think I had the best smile ever, leaving behind my in-laws, who turned pale upon grasping the situation. Ava and I get into the car. I hear a chorus of apologies and curses behind me, but they quickly fade away. After driving for a while, I pull over at a convenience store and call my parents. They're shocked by the news but furious with my in-laws once they hear the story. Come right away, they say. What happened next? James and I got divorced. I had prepared well, so it was straightforward. I planned to get custody of Ava, and James quickly agreed. He probably planned to remarry his affair partner. However, she dumped him, saying she didn't want to be treated like a housekeeper in his home. She knew how I had been treated for years, and coupled with the alimony I claimed, probably wanted to cut ties. After that day, it seems the neighbors heard Angela, Emma, and James yelling and started rumors that it was a terrible household for a daughter-in-law. James called me, begging to get back together, but I flatly refused. Serves him right. Angela, meanwhile, ended up with a slipped disc after Emma begged her to take care of the kids in my absence. David had to do household chores. He's not good at making the atmosphere at home tense. Emma and her husband got caught by the police for not having their children in car seats. It was right after the countdown event, and they were under the influence. Making matters worse, the neighborhood is buzzing with stories about the family's mistreatment of me and Emma's run-in with the law, making life uncomfortable for my former in-laws, all their own doing. As for me, life after divorce is going smoothly, partly because I had prepared in advance. I was worried about the impact of the divorce on Ava, but we're enjoying calmer days than I expected. Ava is smiling and talking more than before. Everything is moving in a positive direction, and I'm relieved. I want to protect Ava's smiles and spend each day doing just that. In the serene suburbs of a quaint small town, amidst rows of nearly identical houses, stood the residence where I, Olivia, spent my formative years. It was a modest two-story abode with a garden that had seen better days, and a mailbox that leaned slightly to the side, as if weary of standing upright. Memories flooded back to me of the days when Mom still graced us with her presence, infusing our home with laughter and warmth. But after her passing, everything shifted. My father, a respected doctor, immersed himself in his work, leaving my elder sister Emily and me to grapple with our grief in solitude. Emily, 3 years my senior, appeared to cope better, or perhaps she just concealed her pain more effectively. Whenever Dad was present, his attention was invariably fixed on Emily, her academic prowess making her the epitome of his pride and joy. Meanwhile, I often felt like a mere shadow in our household, overlooked and insignificant. One evening, during a rare occasion when Dad was home early, the contrast in his treatment towards us was glaring. "Emily, I heard from your teacher today," he began, a genuine smile adorning his face for the first time in what felt like ages. "She says you're at the top of your class in biology. I'm so proud of you. You're truly my daughter." Emily's cheeks flushed with pride as she thanked him, basking in his praise. Meanwhile, I fidgeted with my food, grappling with the familiar pang of exclusion. "I got an A in English," I murmured, more to my plate than to anyone else. Dad's smile waned as he turned towards me. "English? What use is that, Olivia? Why can't you be more like your sister? She's going to be a great doctor one day." His words hung heavy in the air, suffocating me with shame and embarrassment. It wasn't just disappointment. It was as if he couldn't comprehend why I couldn't mold myself into someone else, someone more akin to Emily. After dinner, I sought solace in my room. the only place where I felt a semblance of peace. Through the walls, I could hear Emily and Dad sharing laughter in the living room, further highlighting my sense of alienation. That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the nagging question. Why couldn't Dad see me for who I was? Why was I always relegated to the shadows? Thus began my journey of self-discovery and independence, amidst the backdrop of high school, a time when most teenagers were navigating their way through friendships and the awkward journey to adulthood. For me, it was a period marked by an intensifying feeling of invisibility within my own family. As we grew older, Emily's accomplishments became more pronounced, especially in our father's eyes. She wasn't just excelling academically, she also displayed a keen interest in following Dad's footsteps into medicine. This only seemed to widen the chasm between Dad and me. One evening during my sophomore year, Emily burst through the door, brimming with excitement. Dad was engrossed in a stack of medical journals in the living room, while I sought refuge in a corner with a book, an escape from my reality. "Guess what, Dad?" Emily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. Dad looked up, pride evident in his gaze. "That's wonderful, Emily. I knew you had it in you. You're going to make an excellent doctor one day." From my corner, I observed, feeling a mix of pride for Emily and a sinking feeling in my stomach. I knew what was coming next. "And what about you, Olivia? What have you done lately?" Dad's words pierced through me, and I closed my book, my heart racing. Dad shook his head, barely concealing his disdain. "Literature, that's a hobby, Olivia, not a career. Why don't you try to be more like your sister?" The words stung, as they always did. I glanced down at my book, tears threatening to spill. Emily shot me a sympathetic look, but she was swiftly drawn back into conversation with Dad about her achievements. That night, as I lay in bed, a growing resentment simmered within me. It wasn't just towards Dad for his blatant favoritism, but also towards Emily. It wasn't her fault, but she embodied everything I was not and everything Dad wanted me to be. As days turned into months, this pattern persisted. It wasn't that I lacked my own successes. I excelled in school, and my literature club made a real impact in the community. But in Dad's eyes, these achievements paled in comparison to the allure of a career in medicine. One afternoon, as I sat in the library, engrossed in a literature club project, a sudden realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. I didn't need my father's approval to take pride in my achievements. I was forging my own path, one distinct from Emily's, yet equally significant. This newfound understanding didn't erase the ache for my father's acceptance, but it did provide me with a sense of purpose. I wasn't just Emily's shadow. I was Olivia, with my own dreams and aspirations worth cherishing. College became a breath of fresh air for me, a chance to step out from beneath Emily's shadow and my father's expectations. Opting for a college far enough away to foster independence, yet close enough for occasional visits home, I embraced this opportunity. In my second year, I stumbled upon a field that ignited a genuine passion within me, dentistry. It was during a health sciences elective that I realized my fascination with the intricacies of dental care and its profound impact on overall health. One afternoon, deeply immersed in a text about dental anatomy, my friend Clara approached me. Clara had always felt more like a sister to me than Emily ever did. "Hey, Olivia, what's got you so captivated?" she inquired, peering over my shoulder. I looked up, a smile spreading across my face. "It's this dentistry course. I never realized how complex and fascinating it is. It's like solving a puzzle, understanding each part of the oral cavity and its impact on health." "Dentistry? Huh? That's pretty cool. You always did like solving puzzles?" Clara remarked, raising an eyebrow. Our conversation was interrupted by a call from my father. My heart sank a little, anticipating the usual disappointment in his tone. "Olivia, your sister just got accepted into med school. What are you doing with your life? Have you given any more thought to pursuing a real career like medicine?" Taking a deep breath, I summoned newfound confidence. "Actually, Dad, I found something I'm really passionate about. I'm thinking of going into dentistry." There was a pause on the other end of the line, followed by his disapproving response. Dentistry? That's not a real doctor, Olivia. Why must you always choose the easy way out? His words stung, but I remained resolute. It's not the easy way out, Dad. It's what I'm interested in. It's what I want to do. His sigh spoke volumes of resignation rather than understanding. Well, it's your life. Just don't come running to me when you realize you've made a mistake, he retorted before hanging up. Clara placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. Don't listen to him, Olivia. You've got to do what's right for you, not what's right for him. That conversation marked a turning point for me, a moment of clarity where I embraced the realization that I didn't have to conform to my father's expectations. From that moment on, I immersed myself in my studies with renewed vigor, determined to excel in a field that truly spoke to my passion. I had chosen for myself. I spent the rest of my college years balancing academics with practical experiences in dental clinics. The more I learned, the more convinced I became that I had made the right choice. It was a world away from the life my father had envisioned for me, but it was my life. And I was determined to live it on my own terms. As college came to an end, I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension about the future. Stepping into the unknown was daunting, but for the first time, it was a path I had chosen for myself, and that made all the difference. After college, I, Olivia, embarked on the challenging journey of establishing my career in dentistry. The path was fraught with obstacles, but each hurdle only strengthened my resolve. I worked tirelessly, often juggling multiple roles as an intern, a researcher, and a part-time clinician. A few years into my career, my hard work began to pay off. I was offered a partnership at a well-established dental clinic in the city. It was a dream come true, a testament to my dedication and skill. Yet this triumph was mine alone. I hadn't shared my progress with my father or Emily. I feared their reaction, or worse, their indifference. One evening, as I celebrated this milestone with close friends at a cozy restaurant downtown, amidst laughter and congratulations, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Emily, a rare occurrence. Hey, Olivia, Dad's asking about what you're doing these days. He's curious if you ever made anything of yourself. What should I tell him? I stared at the screen, feeling a familiar sting of old wounds surfacing. I typed out a reply, keeping it vague. Tell them I'm doing fine, just working. As I put my phone away, my friend Mark noticed my change in demeanor. Everything okay, Olivia? I forced a smile. Yeah, it's just family stuff, you know how it is. Mark nodded understandingly. You've done amazing things, Olivia. Don't let anyone, not even family, make you feel otherwise. His words were comforting, but they couldn't erase the years of feeling overshadowed and undervalued by my family. The following week, I found myself in an upscale dental conference, rubbing shoulders with some of the best in the field. I was presenting a paper I had co-authored on innovative dental prosthetics, a significant achievement in my career. As I walked off the stage to a round of applause, my phone rang. Olivia, Emily told me you're just working. Why don't you take your career seriously? You know it's not too late to consider medical school. Dad's voice rang out, pulling me back to reality, especially after the high of my successful presentation. Dad, I am serious about my career. I'm actually doing very well in dentistry, I responded, trying to keep my tone steady despite the familiar sting of his words. There was a pause on the other end, and then dentistry, that's not a real career. You could have been a doctor like your sister. The words hit hard, but I found strength in my achievements. Dentistry is a real career, Dad, and I'm good at it. I wish you could see that. He didn't respond, and the line went dead. I stood there, phone in hand, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. It was clear that no matter what I achieved, it would never be enough for him. That night, as I lay in bed, I reflected on my journey. I had built a successful career, one that I was proud of, but I had done it without the support of my family. It was a bittersweet realization. I decided then to focus on my achievements and the life I had built for myself, rather than seeking validation from those who could not see my worth. The chapter of my unspoken success was just that, mine and unspoken. but it was filled with accomplishments that spoke volumes about who I was and what I was capable of, even if my father couldn't see it. Years had passed since I, Olivia, had chosen to carve my own path in dentistry, leaving behind my father's expectations and the shadow of my sister, Emily. My career had flourished, yet the chasm between my family and me had only widened. Communication was sparse, often limited to brief formal exchanges during holidays or obligatory family gatherings. One such occasion arose, a family dinner at Dad's house, a rare event meant to celebrate Emily's latest achievement in her medical career. I arrived with a mix of reluctance and a faint hope for some semblance of familial connection. The evening began with polite small talk, the kind that skirts around the edges of deeper conversations. Emily shared stories of her residency at a prestigious hospital, each tale met with Dad's beaming pride. Then, as we settled into the main course, Dad turned his attention to me, his tone tinged with familiar criticism. "So, Olivia, it's been a while since we've heard about your career. How is your little dental practice going?" The room grew tense, and Emily glanced at me, a silent plea for peace in her eyes. I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "It's going well, Dad? The practice is growing, and we're making a real difference in people's lives," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Dad scoffed, his words sharp and cutting. "A real difference? You could have been making a real difference as a doctor like your sister. Instead, you chose this lesser path." The old wound, always simmering just beneath the surface, began to throb. "Dentistry is not a lesser path, Dad. It's a vital part of healthcare. I've worked hard to build my practice, and I'm proud of what I've achieved." Dad's expression hardened. "Proud? You turned your back on a noble profession for teeth. You've always been the disappointment, Olivia. I just hoped you'd come to your senses." Eventually, Emily interjected, her voice a mix of concern and frustration. "Dad, that's enough. Olivia's done well for herself." But Dad was unrelenting. "No, Emily, she needs to hear this. She's dishonored our family, and I can't pretend to be proud of her choices." His words struck like a physical blow. I felt a rush of emotions, anger, hurt, and a deep-seated frustration. Standing up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor, I faced him. "Dishonored the family because I chose a different career? No, Dad. The only dishonor here is your inability to see and respect your own daughter's choices," I retorted, my voice firm. The room fell silent. Dad's face reddened, his anger palpable. "If you can't respect my wishes, then you can leave my house. I won't have such disrespect at my table." Without a word, I turned and left, the sound of my footsteps echoing in the tense air. Emily called out, but I didn't stop. The finality of the moment hung heavily around me. Outside, under the cold night sky, I felt a mixture of liberation and deep sadness. The confrontation had been brewing for years, and now it had erupted, leaving a gaping rift between me and my family. As I drove away, the weight of the evening settled in. I had stood up for myself, for my choices. But at what cost? The pain of my father's rejection was sharp, yet there was a sense of relief too. I had finally spoken my truth, and in doing so, I had freed myself from the burden of his expectations. The chapter closed on a bittersweet note, marking the end of my struggle for my father's approval and the beginning of a new chapter, one where I could fully embrace my own identity, independent of my family's shadow. The confrontation at my father's house left me, Olivia, in a state of emotional turmoil. The drive home was a blur, my mind replaying the harsh words and the final painful severance of my familial ties. The house I returned to was quiet, a stark contrast to the storm of emotions raging within me. The next morning, I was scheduled to attend an important dental conference. My mind, however, was far from the intricacies of dentistry. As I prepared, my thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. It was my chauffeur, a service I had indulged in since my practice had become successful. "Good morning, Mrs. Olivia. The car is ready," he said with a polite smile. I nodded, offering a faint smile in return. The luxury car, a symbol of my hard-earned success, suddenly felt like an empty consolation. The conference was a whirlwind of presentations and networking, but my heart wasn't in it. My encounter with my father had left a deep scar, and I couldn't shake off the feeling of rejection. As the day drew to a close, I decided to make a stop at my parents' house. A part of me yearned for closure, for some sign of reconciliation. I arrived to find my father in the garden, tending to the flowers that had been my mother's pride. He looked up, surprise etched on his face. "Olivia, what are you doing here?" he asked. I took a deep breath, the words flowing out. "I came to say that I'm sorry for last night, but I'm not sorry for my choices. I've built a successful practice, Dad. I help people every day, and I'm good at what I do." He put down his gardening tools, wiping his hands on his apron. "I saw your car, Olivia. How did you afford something like that? You said your practice was just doing fine." The question stung, but I stood my ground. Yes, it's more than fine. I've worked hard, and I've made a good life for myself. A life I chose, not the one you wanted for me. Dad's expression softened slightly. "I just wanted the best for you, Olivia. I thought following in my footsteps was that best, but it wasn't." "Dad, it was never what I wanted. I found my own way, and I'm happy with it. I just wish you could be happy for me too," I replied, feeling a mix of relief and apprehension. He looked away, a mix of emotions crossing his face. "I don't understand your choices, Olivia, but maybe I don't have to. It's your life after all." It wasn't a complete acceptance, but it was a start. I nodded, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. "Thank you, Dad. That's all I ever wanted." As I drove away, I felt a sense of closure. The confrontation and subsequent conversation marked a turning point in my relationship with my father. It was a tentative step towards understanding and perhaps acceptance. The chapter ended with me looking towards the future, ready to embrace whatever came my way. The path I had chosen wasn't easy, but it was mine. And for the first time, I felt truly at peace with it. The resolution with my father marked a pivotal change in my life. The past, with its shadows of neglect and misunderstanding, had given way to a present filled with possibilities and a future unburdened by the need for approval. I, Olivia, stood at the threshold of a new chapter, one where my identity and achievements were defined by my own standards. As I settled into this newfound sense of self, my dental practice continued to thrive. I had built a reputation not just for excellence in dentistry, but also for a compassionate approach to patient care. My clinic became a place where people didn't just come for dental work, but for the warmth and understanding we offered. One day, as I was closing up the clinic, my receptionist, Anna, approached me. "Olivia, there's someone here to see you. Says it's important." Curious, I walked to the lobby and was surprised to see Emily standing there, looking a bit hesitant. "Emily, what are you doing here?" I asked, genuinely surprised. She took a deep breath. "I wanted to talk to you, Olivia. After what happened with Dad, I realized I haven't been the sister I should have been to you." Her words were unexpected, and I motioned for her to sit down in the waiting area. "It's been a long time since we really talked, Emily." "I know, and I'm sorry. I got so caught up in Dad's expectations and my career. I never stopped to see how amazing you were doing on your own," she admitted. I nodded, a mix of emotions swirling within me. "Thank you, Emily. It was an easy feeling like I was always in your shadow, always failing to meet Dad's expectations." "I know, and I wish I had seen it sooner. But I'm here now, Olivia. I want to be a part of your life, if you'll let me," she said earnestly. Her words were a balm to the years of distance and misunderstandings. "I'd like that, Emily. I really would." From that day forward, Emily and I began rebuilding our relationship. It was a process with its ups and downs, but it was grounded in a newfound respect and understanding for each other's choices. As my personal life found its harmony, my professional life soared to new heights. I was invited to speak at dental conferences, sharing my insights and innovations in the field. My practice expanded, and I began mentoring young dentists, passing on the lessons I had learned on my journey. One evening, I found myself at a dinner with some of the leading figures in dentistry. I was sharing a table with Dr. Helen Jacobs, a renowned dental surgeon I had always admired. "Olivia, I've been following your work," Dr. Jacobs said, her eyes reflecting genuine respect. "You've brought something special to this field. Your approach to patient care is exemplary." I felt a surge of pride. "Thank you, Dr. Jacobs. That means a lot coming from you. I've always believed that dentistry is more than just treating teeth, it's about treating people." She nodded. "And that's what sets you apart, Olivia. Keep doing what you're doing. You're making a real difference." The evening ended with a sense of accomplishment and a reaffirmation of my choices. I had not only found my place in the world of dentistry, but I had also carved a niche that was uniquely mine. This final chapter, New Beginnings, was about more than just professional success. It was about personal growth, healing familial relationships, and embracing life on my own terms. The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but it had led me to a place of contentment and fulfillment. As I looked ahead, I was filled with optimism and a deep sense of gratitude for the path I had chosen. My story was a testament to the fact that sometimes the road less traveled not only makes all the difference, but also leads to the most beautiful destinations.